Woo! How's everyone doing today? Adam, you were in a different place. You look like you're about to go hunt some snow bears. What is going on? Where are you right now?
I'm up north, man. I'm in the Great White North and getting ready to go out hunting. You know, got my gear on, bro. It's freezing up here, but I'm excited. This space is going to warm things up, man, because we've been waiting to have a stamp space for a long time. So I'm excited to talk stamps once again and learn a lot about what's going on, because honestly, been kind of out of the loop. I wonder what the heck's going on in stamp land.
Yeah, we're taking forever with the migration, so sorry about that. Is that a curio card beanie?
This is a very rare beanie given to me with a very rare curio beanie. I might have the only one in existence. Yes, it's my curio beanie.
I knew that looked familiar. That's very, very awesome. Dogfather, man. What's good, bro? It's been a little bit since we talked. If you're there. Might be watching the kiddos. All right, we're passing off to Mike, man. Mike, what's good, bro? How you been?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, not a problem.
This is going to be a dope space. Also, for everyone who's here, make sure you retweet the space. I've pinned it to the top. Make sure that everyone is aware of the return of stamps and SRC20, man. I've seen Stamp. the SRC20 has overtaken Kevin. I think everyone just wants the very generic name, which I think we'll dive into here a little bit. Make the rounds. Chris, GM bro, how's it going?
Yo, GM, super excited to get into it with the stamps community. They have a ton of energy going on. These spaces have just been kind of really going hard. So last few weeks have been crazy. Adam and Jake, just phenomenal job. Thanks everyone for showing up and just looking to really take these spaces to the next level. So definitely show some support, throw a like, throw a retweet, and let's get into it.
Yeah, I think if somebody wants to tag the Telegram channel in a tweet and we'll pin it up to the top, I think it'd be awesome because you guys do have one of the best kind of active, super active Telegram channels, and love to open that up for people to be able to check it out and get in there. I mean, it's busy, dude. I don't check Telegram every day, but like every 2 or 3 days I look and Bitcoin stamps always at the top. It's like 3,000, text miss in Bitcoin stamps. It's always vibrant in there.
Yeah, the Bitcoin protocol communities are always just living through Telegram. It becomes quite chaotic. You can never really follow what's actually going on. That's why you got to have these spaces. What's up, Dog Father? You might be on mute.
Yeah, hey guys. So we're looking forward to that. Just went out of the building and from Wi-Fi to my mobile network. You asked, and then I cannot talk. We're looking forward to that. I think we should also talk a lot about the fee levels and how expensive such stamping would be in current fee settings. I think that's definitely something you need to comment on.
Yeah, I guess that is true. Excuse me. All right, so I guess the best place to start, Mike, we'll start with you, man.
Yeah.
The creator of Stamps. I think everyone who's here knows what Stamps is, but do you just want to catch us up maybe on some of the developments or maybe from your perspective over the last few months?
Sure.
What has been the focus of the community?
Right. So, I mean, just a little bit of recap. Stamps launched about 7-8 months ago. Right after ordinals. Basically, what happened was I looked at ordinals and I saw that they were doing something very novel there, but it wasn't like the first time this sort of thing had been done. It had been done on Counterparty previously, years before ordinals, but it had never been done in really a standardized way. They were always like one-offs where, the art was being put on chain. So basically, the behind Stamps is sort of a standardization of that process. And with that, we also added the numbering, right? Because everyone loves numbers. So yeah, since then, there's been, the ecosystem has been growing. There's a number of wallets now dedicated to Stamps. They're not just Counterparty wallets anymore. They're Stamp-specific wallets. There's a number of explorers. A great one is Stamp Ninja. They're the first one to introduce royalties on Counterparty. So that's pretty cool. And even with SRC20, we're seeing like a number of marketplaces develop, and everything is growing really quickly.
Do you want to give like a brief overview of the difference between what is an ordinal and what is a stamp and how those are different?
Yeah, sure. So everyone kind of knows how the ordinal scheme works, where individual Satoshis are kind of tracked, and that basically allows you to own a Satoshi, and that Satoshi points to some on-chain art. And we all agree that, hey, if I hold this Satoshi, I'm the owner of that art. In Counterparty land, it works a little differently. It doesn't work at the UTXO level. It's sort of account-based. So the idea is we're storing art on-chain in a little different way, and I can get into that as well. But basically, the owner of the token points towards this on-chain art, and we all agree that whoever holds that token owns the art. So it's very similar to ordinals. Ordinals has basically tokenized sats, while Counterparty has its own token layer, and they store their art in the witness data, and we store it in bare multisig outputs. And it gets a little technical there, but the idea is that the persistence of data is stronger on Stamps because it's replicated across all nodes, where with ordinals, you need to have like a post-SegWit full node that's unpruned. in order to have these have this art stored on your node. While with stamps, it's like everyone gets the art. Like it's on every node that's out there, even pre-SegWit nodes that have no idea what Taproot even is. They get that art as well.
Yeah, and Stamps has gone through, you know, some very turbulent times, some kind of internal counterparty wars. We'll dive into a little bit of, we're just catching up here. At some point over, I believe it was the summer, there was a big SRC20 kind of conflict, or I guess you'd say disagreement within the counterparty community.
You're polluting the blockchain again, you Bitcoiners.
It's always what it comes down to is,
why does it always come down to this, man? It's crazy.
Take us through kind of what happened there, and then how is SRC20 modified, I guess, the protocol to satisfy all parties?
Sure. And I just want to start. I mean, there's a lot of great people on the counterparty side, and there's no ill will, at least on our end. You know, they're all, you know, J-Dog has been running this stuff forever, and everyone should be appreciative of that. But basically what happened was, like, we kind of took the approach of move fast and break things, right? And we, you know, just because we wanted to get it out there, we wanted to capture the momentum. So we just unleashed SRC20. And the idea was that SRC20 rides on top of counterparty, but it didn't really utilize a lot of the counterparty features like dispensers and things like that. It really kind of follows the BRC20 approach on ordinals. So we basically ported that over to counterparty. And yeah, there was some disagreement there just because it was, you know, it was a tremendous amount of use and traffic, and there was concerns about database bloat and all sorts of things. So to avoid sort of like, you know, counterparty hard fork, if you will, we decided to just move it off counterparty entirely. So it's still on chain. It's still on chain in the same way. It just doesn't use the counterparty headers. So if you're running like a counterparty node, you can just ignore the SRC20 stuff if it bothers you. And but yeah, SRC20 is still as resilient. It's just no longer on counterparty, but the art stamps still are.
Interesting. Yeah, I pulled up here OpenStamp, who's one of the SRC20 marketplaces, and just some current prices. You have Kevin, which I believe was the first SRC20, is sitting at a $2 million market cap. You have Stamp, which was, I believe, deployed by the Stampunk community. I might be wrong there. Is sitting at $6 million market cap, and Stamp has 2,300 holders. Kevin has 700, and then in third place, it looks like is something called Sato, might be getting that wrong. At
Probably Sato,
$720,000 market cap with 711 holders. So quite a small market to begin. But as we know, it seems like the whole BRC20 kind of like these like fungible, non-fungible, or semi-fungible tokens are really kind of what are bootstrapping all of these different Bitcoin protocol communities. And now it's really even, you know, transgressed and proliferated to all these EVM communities with e-scriptions, Solana scriptions, BNB scriptions. It's just all the way down the board, right? It's funny how quote unquote, you know, shitcoins on Bitcoin is really what's bringing a lot of the developer activity back.
Yeah, I mean, like my personal feelings are like I lean towards the art. SRC20 is fine, and I'm happy it exists in it. But it's like in times where, you know, the mempool is this congested, it like the art just grinds to a halt because it just becomes way too expensive to mint art in these times. So it's a little bit of a deal with the devil, where it's like SRC20 is great and it brought a lot of traffic to stamps, but at the same time, it's grinded the mempool to a halt, or it's grinded stamps to a halt. So we're just hoping that it eases up a little bit so the artists can get back in there, you know, and do their thing as well.
Yeah, we're sitting at 69 sats per VByte for medium priority, which, as we know, creating a stamp is actually more expensive than an inscription.
Yeah.
So I remember those
the most expensive way to store art on chain.
Yeah, I think Adam, when stamps first came around and we were using Counter Wallet, it was like
it was over $100 a stamp, easily.
Well, there's some history there. So basically, with Counter Wallet, it was using 7,800 sats per output, And we went back and we were looking at forum posts like from 2014, and we realized that it was supposed to be 780, which is like above the dust limit. And somehow there was like a broken telephone when, you know, things got implemented, and it got implemented at 7,800. So all these years, whenever like bare multi-sig has been used in Counterparty, and it's used for different things whenever, you know, the transaction exceeds the op return, like if you're trying to do like a multi-send or something. So all this time, people have been overpaying by about 10x, and someone did some math, and there's about 10 BTC trapped within outputs over like the past decade. So that's kind of
awesome.
funny. So, but one of the innovations of stamps is, yeah, we figured this out and it's been resolved, right? So no longer is that occurring, right? And even in Free Wallet, there's a slider, and you can bring it. You don't want to bring it right down to nothing because the transaction won't work. You have to be above the multi-sig dust limit. So I think the safe zone is around 900 sats per V byte, which is, you know, it's a far less than the 7,800 we were working with previously.
Yeah, I like cheaper fees. I think everyone.
Oh,
does. Dogfather, what's up?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, maybe Casey is envious that the counterparty community was resolving that, and SRC20 are now outside, because that's what he wants with the rune protocol.
right.
And
True.
so kind of like the same situation, but the counterparty community is smaller, and I think it was easier to find a solution that fits all parties.
Yeah, we think the counterparty protocol's been around for almost 10 years now at this point. So it's been through many turbulent times already. And it's, in fact, somewhat leaderless. I mean, I know you have J-Dog, who's like the lead maintainer, but there's so many large personalities that grew on the counterparty platform that, you know, there's more of an equal say than kind of where Ordinals is today. And you see Casey now is also trying to omit bitmaps. So, right, it's a little bit of at least they have on the ordinals.com website. So it's going to be a little bit tougher to do that in a decentralized community where a protocol has been around for 10 years already at this point in time.
Well, I would say Counterparty has never been more decentralized than it is now with stamps. Is like, so the Stamp Ninja guys, they've introduced XCP Ninja, right? So it's another explorer. So you can use XChain, but XChain no longer needs to be the source of truth. There's a number of explorers out there that aren't even stamp specific. You can see all the counterparty assets. So I mean that's great. You know, there's no longer this, you know, and J-Dog's doing a great job, and I'm glad he's been a steward for the counterparty community all these years. But it's great that there's now other explorers as well.
Yeah, I've pulled up here on the live stream, stamp.ninja. I'm actually very impressed by this explorer. It's definitely I would say the better one, or the best. It's definitely competes with XChain in terms of discoverability. And it's a little bit more modernized, to say the least. I have been seeing kind of a handful of growth areas within stamps, and, you know, maybe any of the projects who would like to come share their project, or if there's any stamp projects in the crowd who would want to discuss. We did the same thing with Doginals the other day, where Doginals seems to be a little bit stuck in this like metaverse kind of sector that Adam heavily criticized. But it seems like in these early formations, right, there's a handful of ways that different community projects go about. They either create some sort of like PFP identity protocol, or they go down this like generative art. As we saw in Stamp Ninja, there's 2 mints that are going on right now, Stamp Pepe's and BTC Socks, who I believe is on stage. It's kind of interesting because these are using something called SRC20, which I'd like to get into, but I'll call on subs first. If you'd like to discuss what's on your mind.
Yeah, GM everybody. I just want to say thanks to Mike for, you know, developing the stamps protocol. I do love ordinals as well. I love both. To me, like, and I'm also an XChain artist as well, XChain counterparty, going back a couple years now. And to me, like, yeah, I do love NFTs. And before NFTs, you know, of course, we had crypto art on Bitcoin through XChain. And I do also love links as well, our Weave links, you know, because you can get really highly detailed artwork on there, like highly detailed cards or whatnot, you know, on XChain through the Weave links. But to me, there's something very powerful about, in Ordinal's case, having like a 1-of-1 PFP, like the guy in my profile pic, just like having him linked to like one Satoshi, you know what I mean? So it's like, oh, like this is an Ordinal, like it corresponds with this, like it's a 1-of-1. There are none like it. This one is mine, Full Metal Jacket reference. But but there's a beauty to that. But I think for stamps, there's also a beauty, but maybe not for PFPs. Though I do have a stamps PFP collection that kind of got sidelined by the fees, to be honest. So I'm about 20 deep in it, sold out so far. But I can't wait to stamp some more. But it's, to me, stamps kind of lends itself to more editions, because I think that there's a beauty in, well, the kind of the more permanent nature, in my opinion, like what vague knowledge I have, stamps versus ordinals, not that it is a competition. It does seem like stamps, perhaps will have more staying power, I believe, in the long run. Although I've heard from some BTC insiders that, like, they were being honest with me. They said that ordinals probably have just as much of a chance for the long haul. Maybe stamps have a better chance, but ordinals also have like a chance to be around for quote unquote forever, or our best attempt at forever. But like, who knows what that is, right? We don't know that. But I think, to me, like stamps, I just like the culture of those are the people that are involved with stamps. That, in other words, the X-Chain people that don't dislike stamps, right? The ones that are into stamps. I think that culture is like really like ingrained, like in the BTC crypto art culture, like more so. And I'm not saying that this is a competition, but more so than the ordinals people. So I do think that also built into stamps, there's kind of an added value of like, if somebody collects your stamps, right, they really like it, and they're probably like going to hold on to it. And to me, the long-term value of like people having the quote unquote immutable art on Bitcoin, that has a culture already ingrained into it, because BTC, like, they invented crypto art way before crypto punks and NFTs even. To me, I'm not saying that there's more value in that, but to me there is kind of more value in that, to be honest.
Yeah, it gets into just a different culture set, right? It's like ordinals, very much, Ethereum guys, myself, Jake, all, coming over from Ethereum, a lot of Solana people, a lot of Bitcoin Cash people coming over. So it's a much broader mix. I think stamps definitely got a whole heaping of artists from, traditional counterparty artists, immediately latched on. And so I think you hit on it. It's a different vibe for sure. And longevity, I mean, the reality is both can live indefinitely, right? As digital items. But of course, we all know stamps is just a little bit more solid than those flimsy ordinals.
Absolutely, Jake.
But I love ordinals. But
that was Adam. We're talking through the same talking through the same account.
And I don't want to blow up his spot, but like an old school, like original, like Pepe collector, rare Pepes, all that's like going back way before 2017, probably like 2015. Like somebody that he actually hates both. He hates the stamps and ordinals. And this is a very influential person in the BTC ecosystem. And I don't want to blow up his spot, but what he told me is that, basically like, this is private. He didn't want me repeating this, but I'm repeating it, but leaving his out. He said that ordinals will more than likely be around for a long time, if not.
Of course, dude. Anytime you get a massive movement of people and interest, shit's gonna stay around because the bags get heavier and heavier. The time investment gets heavier and heavier. I don't have any doubt both are gonna survive. Look, the ordinals being done on whatever the latest one, what was it, Jake, on Solana or whatever. Mm-hmm. Those will be around, whether they get kind of relegated and somebody, has to rediscover them in 15 years and bring them back. That's possible. But what stays top of mind, certainly it's hard to argue that ordinals are going to be top of mind for a while because so many people are invested in it.
Well, it's like the derivatives, right? Whenever you start seeing people copying something, then it's more likely to stay around. 100%. I mean, SRC20 copied ERC20, but then kind of created its own version of it, which is now every blockchain said, hey, I want this in my ecosystem. We want our own inscription kind of ideas, whether it's something that's going to be proven valuable on these other EVM chains or not. I think it's still to be determined. But I think if you're a proof of work type chain, then ordinals and inscriptions make sense. Even more so, you could kind of see a future where Dogecoin stamps existed. I don't know if it still is around or not. You could still see people probably fork Counterparty and then go do like Monocoin stamps and Litecoin stamps, and right, that just only adds to the increase in value, and that'll all come up if when stamps kind of hit this mainstream. Right now, it's in this kind of early infrastructure point where there's a lot of experimentation happening, right? Like Emblem, we just deployed the stamps collection on OpenSea. Unfortunately, at the same time, the gas fees also are going insane. We still have to migrate everything else over. But then it becomes this idea of like, do you want to, are those people in stamps? Is the stamps community, is it a bunch of traders or is it a bunch of collectors, right? What type of art is coming through? So it's still, to be determined, but there's infrastructure now. You have Stamped Ninja, which is doing great. You have Universal's Rare Stamp Marketplace and a bunch of these other kind of protocols that are still existing and popping up. So it is a really bit of an exciting time. I did want to call on the Bitcoin Socks project. One of the few that I've seen come on stage that actually has like a dedicated channel. Can you explain a little bit of like what your project is and why you decided to build on stamps versus some of the other Bitcoin protocols that have popped up?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so that's a great question. I think our experience with stamp is probably a little bit different from, I would say, most people, because I think most people come on to stamps as an artist. The artist got them there, right? But for us, it's a little different. So when we first started actually working on stamps, what we want to do is that we want to bring back this culture, this project that was once exist on Ethereum, bring that culture to the Bitcoin. And that project was called Unisocks. I'm not sure if anybody familiar with this project, but this project is started on Ethereum in 2019. It's one of the very first I would consider as an NFT projects. So it's the idea of the Unisocks project is that Ethereum or Uniswap, they have this token, 500 of this token that are connected to 500 limited pair of socks in the real world. And the idea is that the holder of this socks token can either trade it on Uniswap or redeem it for a real world pair of socks. And at the peak, yes. So
no, it's funny because I don't know. I'm trying to remember what the top one traded for. I want to say it was like $40,000 or $50,000, something like that.
It was a lot higher than that.
Was it higher than that? Crazy.
Yeah. So as a peak, at the peak, it was like each one of these stocks token was traded for over $150,000 on exchange. And even if you look at it up right now, each stock is still around 35 to 40,000 that people can sell on the DEX, right? And so there's like this stocks mania that people like the Airbus getting into, and then it's developed these cultures that if you own this stocks MT, you're like the OG in the space, because this thing started even before the like of like punks and Bored Ape were even a thing. So that's why like a lot of people consider like socks holder is kind of like the OG. It's almost like a symbol of stature in the Ethereum, in the the NFT space. So we started we wanted to bring that kind of culture back, because I think that is an awesome idea, and we want to bring it to Bitcoin because Bitcoin is booming. And at first we decided, hey, should we build an ordinal or something? And and then that's how we were stumbled upon Stamp, because we want to build this thing long term, right? We want something that will last indefinitely. And then it just naturally that the more we look into it, the more it makes sense. Hey, Stamp is probably the more logical ecosystem to build this project on. Since the project is still kind of small, it just gives us a much higher chance for success if this thing were to catch on. And then what started as this project of a few people to come together and then started kicking off, then doing, and what we quickly realized that Stamp is still a very relatively small ecosystem, and one of the focus that we want to start focusing on is actually growing the ecosystem. So that's when the arts start to come in, right? And then we noticed that like Bitcoin Stamp is a very art enthusiast space. So then we start getting some of our artists coming up with our own, and then we just quickly, really, I must say, quickly really fell in love with it. So, and ever since then, we just constantly been doing art, and we're trying to expand the ecosystem by doing various collaboration with different artists, giving some away to the community on Twitter giveaways, and then trying to get other people to come in. Also, branching out with other ecosystems such as Polkadot as well, and trying to bring those people in as well too. So it's definitely I'm say the community is so awesome. It's just it's one of the things that's really got us to stay and got us to really determined to make this this ecosystem expand, and just seeing the technology behind it, and just how much stuff that it can bring, and how undervalues people doesn't really understand that fully on-chain permanent is something that is very valuable in the futures, and and just that conviction just keep and grow as it goes on. So that's kind of our whole experience with Stamp so far, and of course as it's grow, we start to have more projects, and we have our artists want to do certain things, and then we try to kind of help them launch their own projects, and then give it to the community, which is I think one of the projects is ongoing right now, as you mentioned. It's a launch pad that is this work on with Stamp Ninja that's currently ongoing on their website that is that anybody can mint, but because Stamp is it costs a little bit more, and during this time where it's gas fees are just dog shit, it's kind of doesn't make sense to to just mint something that costs you $500 and you just can go out just buy and already art piece out there for much less.
Yeah, I've pulled up here as well. I'm looking at the Bitoshi project 256, which I believe is minting right now with an artist. So first, let me just make sure I have this explanation. You guys started the BTC Socks project with the idea that you wanted to import some of that culture over, some of those ideals from Ethereum. Eventually, what you realized is that the ecosystem is quite small, but there's a large opportunity. So now you've opened it up to partner with artists to share their artwork. So how I have that? Do I have that right?
Yes. Right. So I think our main goal is of course is to grow the ecosystem. So so then that's why we branch out and try to get a lot of artists involved, and really to expand this to the whole community, not just within the Stamp community, but also attracting people of ordinal or other ecosystem to come into Stamp, or to learn, at least to learn about it and explore it, and yeah.
Has anybody redeemed their stocks yet?
No, because the thing is that right now, because we're still in such an early phase, so we set up this project to have different phases. So, so the first phase is ongoing for only we're only selling 200s stock so far, and once we hit about 75% of that milestone, that's when we start to getting our inventories, and then open up for redemptions.
Excuse me. Got it. And what are your thoughts, man? Are you have you purchased, Adam, have you purchased any stamps since we minted
I have bought a few. Yeah, I bought a few. Obviously minted. We were early minting, right? We were talking the other day. I think I minted one or two of your fuzzy stamps for you in the very early days. So Jake has, if you look up, it's probably in the first 200, right?
Yeah, here I'll show on the live stream. I ended up vaulting all of them just because we were testing it out to make sure that it was working.
Yeah, we did a couple, and I just think it's a great idea. This idea of obviously is now hit with ordinals, the immutability, forever on chain is huge, and I think stamps, when you think about it, look, as basically the hardest NFT in the world, the NFT that's least likely to be lost or pruned or anything, it's really compelling. how that, the next wave of people comes in and uses it. Maybe it just stays small and niche and just art, but maybe it's something bigger. I don't know. Actually, I'd love to talk to Derp about this, because Derp had a kind of cool project. What was it? Like maybe 3 or 4 months ago, they kind of brought in a different sort of minting aspect. And I'd love to talk about that, and then talk a little bit about, recursion and the possibility of recursion on stamps. So Derp, man, you there?
Yeah. Hey, what's going on, Jake?
Yo, that was Adam. Me and Adam, we're talking through
Oh.
the same one.
Jake can't change his voice that quickly, man.
I need to age a little bit. I need to hit puberty fast.
You want to walk through the project you did? What was it, like 3 or 4 months ago? Was it July? I can't even remember.
I definitely don't remember the month, but it was Avame. So the idea was to try and work within the bounds of the protocol to make the mint to the end user as small as possible, because the real issue here driving adoption is just the huge cost on the part of the end user. And if we can get that as small as possible, then we have, we stand a chance at adopting new users. So the idea behind SRC20 was the founders of the project mint all of the traits individually. So you've got your backgrounds, your bodies, your faces, whatever, assuming it's a PFP. And then the final mint that the user creates is actually just an array of integers representing which ones of those items are to be stacked up.
Did he get sorry, you cut out there.
Put on chain. Gotcha. Sorry, I'm walking outside of a building because there's a big truck that just pulled up. I'm trying to get away from that noise.
Yeah, no worries.
Anyway, so all the traits are put on by whoever's the artist, and then the user just mints an array that references the traits, and that makes it significantly less expensive. Helps to get the cost down to, with Avame, I think on average it's like maybe $12 to $15 per mint, which is very reasonable considering it costs thousands of dollars to put the art on chain.
Yeah, these were pretty detailed images. I minted a few. I mean, this was like, for those who in the room who weren't there for this was a vigorous mint. I mean, this was back in the old days, 2021. People in Discord going crazy because they couldn't type mint. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, it was very inexpensive.
Proof of degen.
Proof of good stuff. Totally. But so, tell us, is this different than recursion as we think about it on?
Yes and no.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes and no. So it's similar in the aspect that you can reference other assets on chain. The difference is it's significantly smaller, but it also has some drawbacks. So we can do recursion as well. That's something. So like about a week or two ago, I minted a test to just see how it would work with the indexer based on the way the indexer's API is set up, and then went back to the dev chat and talked to the guys, and we're kind of working on a slightly different way to do it, which should reduce the cost. But we should be able to do recursion relatively soon and have it available on all the major platforms, and then also possibly even implement recursion as part of SRC20 to really make some awesome experiences. Because right now, what's really driving it is like I was saying, the cost. Everything's so damn expensive. I was looking at putting an actual recursive stamp up yesterday. It was going to cost like $300. It was only 1 kilobyte. So obviously I was like, I'm going to be pretty pissed because next week it's going to cost $35. So
if I may ask, if it wasn't recursive, how much would it cost you? Like more, right?
Yeah. So the total files for that are probably like 10 to 12 kilobytes. So it would have cost probably $2,000 maybe.
Whoa.
$2,000, $2,500. It would have been wicked expensive. I actually think that the size wise, I don't know that any anybody can stamp it right now because it would be too large. I think most of the websites only let you stamp like 6 kilobytes. I don't know why that is or what that restriction's based on, but that's maybe a soft limit for some reason, but very expensive.
Mike, do you know the answer to that one?
You know what? I thought there was like a hard limited counterparty of 8,000 characters, but I could be completely off there.
Okay.
Maybe one of the other devs can.
I actually know, just because back when you launched this protocol, Mike, I looked into it. Yeah, that's exactly the reason why. It has to do with the character limit.
Yeah, I think it's 8,000, and that translates to 6 or 7 kilobytes.
Interesting. So right now, would you agree, maybe either Derp or Mike, that the biggest existential threat to stamps is essentially high miner fees on the blockchain?
Well, I mean, I look at it a little differently. I mean, stamps is not for everyone. It's not for every application of art. It has restrictive, and I think constraints kind of give it its superpower. You know, it makes it different. You know, you have to be very creative to work within constraints rather than just throwing any JPEG up. You really have to craft it. And so maybe that is niche and that's how it will remain. But that's sort of what has created this community around it, right? So, you know, and oftentimes someone will come to me and they're like, hey, they're really excited to put some art on stamps. And then they explain what they want to do. And I send them to ordinals. I'm like, that's not going to work here, right? So it's like we're trying to, you know, craft the best version of stamps. But I mean, there are constraints there, and it's not going to be the solution for everyone.
And I'm hoping we can sort of break those constraints and do some interesting things.
Yeah, definitely.
What else do you have in mind? Is there anything that you're working on or anything that you're ideating that can improve the protocol?
Yeah, there's one thing that we're doing that at Stampers, which we think is pretty cool, and that's we're going to be doing what we're calling AI stamps, and instead of putting the art on chain, what you're going to be putting on is actually going to be a recipe explaining exactly how to create the art using a specific stable diffusion model. So instead of the actual image, you have a bunch of words representing what the image is. And then it would be up to, you know, like the indexer to generate the image and display it to the end user. And the end result is you can get a very high quality image, and really what you're stamping is an idea.
So wait, that would change every time it's pushed through though, right?
Well, if you have enough settings, you can get a almost deterministic image, meaning we've run some tests, and with enough settings, I can generate something on a Mac versus on an NVIDIA card. And there may be some small changes, like the texture of a shirt, or maybe there's a bow in someone's hair, or a top on a coffee mug or something. There's small changes, but the majority of the image is the same.
Wow, that is cool. That is interesting, man. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
Slightly differ from one to the, like, that's also cool. Like sometimes people will use emojis in their stamps, and depending on the platform they're viewing it in, iOS versus Android versus Chrome or whatever, the emojis all look slightly different because all the platform vendors have their own emojis, right? So it's the same idea, it's the same concept. You're looking at, you know, a heart emoji or a laughing face emoji, but it looks different depending on the platform. And I don't think that's, I think that's actually kind of cool, you know? So if with these prompt ideas within stamps, if they render slightly different, like, that's neat.
That's fucking so interesting. I don't know if I was on Space with you, Jake, or Space with somebody in the last couple of weeks, and we were talking about the future AR, VR, and the idea of artists basically creating an AI agent that would then that people would then buy, right? And you're basically buying that agent, and that agent then can create, you know, overlays, vibes of whatever you're kind of looking at. And this is actually something along that line where, you know, an artist can create something, a buyer can then purchase it, or a collector, and then have this kind of, this is like the baby step, first step, but display, and you think about how this could be used in so many different ways. That's really, really interesting. Love that.
Yeah, I mean, Adam, how often do we talk about ordinals or any of these say up and coming protocols where we look for something that's unique to the protocol that'll onboard people, which can then be
100%.
copied onto other ones, right? As we just discussed with ordinals or inscriptions, now every blockchain wants that. If something looking for something on stamps to where every other Bitcoin protocol and then maybe protocols outside of proof of work will then adopt it, and that just adds more, right? Just more credibility to it overall. So
Yep.
maybe this is one of those ideas.
Awesome, man. Derp, you're the man, dude.
Trying, man, trying it. Well, and another, there's a whole bunch of cool stuff that can happen with this, right? So, just initially we can generate these images, and that's pretty cool. But you can add recursion to that too, and then you can generate memes. So if there's, like the meme of Leonardo DiCaprio holding a beer while pointing at the TV, like you can just sit there and you can generate 10,000 Leonardo DiCaprio images until you find the one with the right settings that looks very similar to that. And you stamp that, and then anybody can take that, and for like 30 bytes or whatever, they can import it as recursion into their stamp, and then turn it into a meme for very inexpensive. So that's sort of where the plan here is making very dynamic content as inexpensive as possible by stacking up a whole bunch of stuff that people have already put on chain.
Wow. Dude, I'd love to hear some of our artist friends about, what they think about this. Maybe Al, how you doing today, man? Maybe you want to give a low comment on this. Does this excite you, or you're just, I don't give a shit? What do you think?
Well, I mean, they just added stamps too, so congrats to that.
I love that. I mean, in general, in stamps for me, it's been like the rough mode, like as much data we can stuff in the chain, the better. But with this, we are opening a lot of like a very big world of possibilities. So I love the idea. Yep.
Al, tell us a little bit, right? We just had you on the show a few weeks ago. We were talking about how Pepe.WTF is becoming this memetic hub where it doesn't matter the type of project. You've expanded outside of Pepe. You've added Wojak and you have Rare Cocoa. And then you came in and said, hey, we're just adding a whole new or support for a whole new entire protocol. Of course, it's leverage as counterparty, but you added stamps. Take us through that decision of expanding outside, or I would say on top of counterparty for Pepe.WTF.
For me, I mean, out of Pepe was basically a consequence, probably from Enables, because we decided to add our own collection of comics in ordinals. So when we added Enable, that is not based only in Pepe, it's like it made sense to add Wojak, Coco, and many other collections. But in the case of stamps, which is like the first collection that is not curated, it's an open collection, it's like an open stream. For me, basically, the decision was, apart from that I've had a lot of fun in stamps, is like it coexists with counterparty in terms of community, in terms of infrastructure, in many, many different sense. So for me, it made sense because both of them benefit each other. So having something like stamps in WTF for me is like an opportunity to have an open stream of art, where people can create different things, and we are not restricted to the curated collections we are having usually. So it brings like a new world of possibility for artists.
Yeah, that sounds that's exactly how Emblem works, right? We keep our collections open because you really never know what type of, creative expression somebody's going to introduce to it. But now it looks like on the live stream, you added this support November 6th. So about two and a half weeks ago. How has that implementation been so far, the response, and on the website itself, are you seeing traffic being pivoted towards stamps?
Yes, I mean, in the implementation was easy because at the end, the whole data model is the same. Basically, stamps are based in counterparty. So in terms of feeding data was basically like the same process. The only thing is, as stupid as it sounds, the challenge was to feed non-5.7 ratio images. Basically, that was the biggest one. And also stamp is like a very big collection. Like the biggest we have right now is Rare Pepe, which is 1,774. So stamps is so far around 25K art stamps, because we are not importing SRC20, we are only importing the stamps art. So basically the challenge was to add a big collection, but beyond that was like very, very straightforward. There's been interest, but for me, what I felt like more proud of adding stamps is like to contribute a bit, to give it a bit of visibility in the community, because at the end, with rare pepes and especially fake rares that has gone like beyond what we know in Counterparty, bringing stamps to that world, like I have a feeling like we've put new extra eyes that were not putting their vision to stamps. So I think in that sense we have led a bit of traffic there.
I wanted to point out, I just pinned it up top, and thank Al for really starting this movement. If you guys missed it the other day, Al basically was behind setting up this like free Pepe little promotion that we worked on and did together, and I think was really successful. Al, I hope you found it successful too. I sent out about 200 DMs trying to get people involved. We had a lot of retweets. If you guys don't know, you can't use Pepe gifts on X. Like a couple years ago, they got taken down. And so if anybody knows Elon, if you want to shoot him a DM, like we were trying to, get some traction. We definitely easily had way over 1 million views through various people tweeting, retweeting, creating their own art and doing it. So, just trying to get the word out that, we think it's bullshit that Pepe is banned from X. And so we want Pepe, we want the gifts back, man. We want to be able to make all those memes. So if anybody knows Elon or has connections, retweet, whatever, create your own stuff, but trying to get that movement going. And Al, congrats on it, man, because I think it was a big success.
Thank you. Yeah, it was very exciting. I think some people was telling me like, yeah, you can share GIFs if you want. You can just post them. It's like, yeah, but it's not the same. At the end, something like, because at the end, the responsible is not directly X. It's Giphy, which is the provider of GIFs. Something like Giphy banning Pepe. For me, I'm not sure if they would ever add them back, because until they remove them from the blacklist, it's gonna be hard. But the best thing could happen if Giphy add them back is not even them adding them back, but the shout out of Pepe. Like at the end, it's like something that was so unfair to add them in there, because obviously a meme can be used for bad things, but in the case of Pepe, when you see the 99% of things that are created with Pepe, is like that doesn't fit in any kind of hate symbol. So yeah, definitely the campaign was very, very nice to see everybody supporting and tweeting things.
Yeah, Al, you hit the nail on the head, because it's definitely not Elon, considering was it like 6 months back or something like that? Like his media team was basically putting Pepe into his gifts, like they were making specifically for him in X promotional materials, including Pepe. He was trying to pump that, or not pump Pepe, but just like celebrate the joys of Pepe for like a week there. So there were like 3 videos that his team actually made where they just put Pepe into the videos.
Yeah, totally. But for me, the good thing of targeting Elon is like it's the kind of meme character that could enter into the play. So if we change him, maybe we can get something, even if he's not responsible.
Yeah, it's like if we reached Elon, I think we get a change, right? That's the thing, And so, look, it's a pie in the sky. It's a wish, but without trying, and everybody kind of, you never know. Elon's got people looking around X all day long trying to find the next thing, and so who knows, man? The tweet you make or the meme you make with hashtag free Pepe, maybe that makes it to change. So I encourage people to do it.
Hopefully.
Free the excuse me, guys. Free the frog. Yeah, it's getting winter time out here in Vegas.
Yeah, it's a chilly 78 degrees in Vegas.
Yeah, not built for that. But as we've been going through this conversation, the Stamps ecosystem is much further along. You now have almost 4 marketplaces. You have Stampverse, OpenStamp, Rare Stamp. It's now at Pepe.wtf. You now have stamps available on OpenSea through Emblem Vault. So the discoverability is definitely improving. I think now it's coming down to there's some infrastructure support. Now it's what are some interesting kind of utility that you can introduce, or some interesting art, where we do have one of the, I would say, leading artists, or maybe the leading artist on stage, who's Viva, who's really, doubled down and really gone really hard on the stamps ecosystem. So for those, Viva, that maybe isn't familiar with your art or stamps, tell us why you decided to create a whole entire series on stamps and really leverage your brand there.
I think it was mainly like people were saying, the move. A lot of my art already was already on Counterparty from making fake rares. So the switch over seemed, using dispensers and the whole setup, it seemed very familiar. And as I was saying earlier about doing additions, because a majority of the work that I did was in additions, I knew that I couldn't do that with ordinals. And I'd sort of been playing around with a few different things, and it kind of suited what I was doing. And I also like the idea. Someone described stamps early on. I can't remember. Someone tweeted it out, and they were complaining, saying that they were basically Bitcoin vandals. And I thought at that point, that's amazing. That suits me, because I thought if you were out doing graffiti, not that you should, kids, but if you were, and you were walking along the street, and you always see it, and especially in cities, if there's somewhere really up high where someone's put their name up there, and you're looking at it thinking, how the fuck did they put that up there? How have they even got up there? But no one's ever taken that down. That's up there forever now. I thought that's the equivalent of stamps, where you're putting your name somewhere where it's going to be impossible to remove, as opposed to putting it at street level where someone could buff it. So that was appealing to me.
I'm going to have to call you the UTXO Vandal from now on.
Blockchain Vandal. That's perfect.
If I could just chime in real quick, what I appreciate about Viva is that, I have some Alcatraz swim team. Those are on ETH. That's in his PFP right now. They're amazing. Check them out. I still collect ETH, NFTs, everything else, right? But what I love about Viva on stamps is that even though it's like dwindled down, or I should say simplified into basic like pixel structures and like cards and like basic pixel cards, right? And like Viva's like the perfect artist for stamps, because he does cards is one of the main things he does. And it's usually Pepe or Bitcoin or, usually Pepe based cards, right? But even though it's simple pixel art, you could still tell it's him. It's got his sense of humor in it. It's got his style in it. And I don't even know how you could take something that's like a highly detailed, like Pepe illustration, and he's got blatantly like his own style that's pretty much integrated into the Pepe crypto art culture at this point. I think as one of the main kind of styles beyond Matt Fury's style, of course, but like, and how he can do that in simple pixel form it's like mind-blowing to me.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I think I take inspiration from the original Rare Pepe series, and the way, if you look at the way they reported on current events and the sense of humor that the cards brought to it, I was just trying to replicate the same thing with stamps. And I think, the crypto world, so many things happen that you can be reporting on every day, and a lot of them are fucking hilarious when you look at them. They're funny. So I think Pepe can be used for so many things. It can be used as versatile. You can report on all these things using him, and then putting them in the pixelated form with stamps. It just felt like a perfect fit for me. And it was a challenge, as Mike was saying, trying to reverse back what you're doing and simplifying everything, and getting it down to such a small size has become an art form in itself. But, requires a lot of thought as well. So it's, making people create in a different way, which I also think is good as well.
I've pulled up here on the live stream, vivalavandal.biz, which is your website. And you have a section for Viva, which is the SRC20. And as I read it, sounds like this might be the only one or one of the few that actually has some utility that you've ascribed to it. So can you just take us through why creating an SRC20, and then how that is integrated within your artwork on the Bitcoin Stamps protocol?
Yeah, I thought it would just be an interesting way of bridging people over to stamp art, because I thought it would gain quite a lot of attention because of the BRC20s and everything that's happening there. So I thought, rather than it just being a coin that people could speculate and sell if it hit a certain price, I thought if I tied it in with doing airdrops, because of the counterparty features where I can do multi-sends to people who are holding certain things, that would be a lot easier. So I thought I could use it as a sort of miniature art club. And then thinking if I get them airdropped my stamps, then that could open up people to, collecting other stamps, because they'd have to set up certain wallets to get them. So it was about trying to expand that. more than just collecting a token, sort of opening people's eyes up to it. So I've done, for people that hold the token, I think I've done 2 stamps that have been airdropped out to them that I've never sold, so they're only for people who are holding that token. And then I've also been airdropping other people some of my older counterparty assets as well. So trying to get people on board of, counterparty, if they're not familiar with it, that's because stamps did bring a lot of new people who weren't familiar with counterparty and everything they'd gone before it. So I'm trying to use it to spread the word about that as well.
Yeah, I think that was like the upsetting part over the summer, which was that internal civil war. Was Adam and I had talked about this, of how SRC20 and stamps were just bringing so much more attention to counterparty. It was like, why would you really dismiss that? But that was the debate back then.
Yeah, for me that was as well, because personally as an artist, I had dispensers from like 2 years ago where they were just sitting still, and because of the attention that stamps brought to my stamp artwork, all of a sudden people were going back through and checking them, and these things were getting emptied out that had just been sitting there. And I thought, if it did that for me, there's a whole bunch of other artists it could do that for as well on Counterparty. So I really saw it as a positive thing as an artist on Counterparty that it could have done. So when it wasn't being embraced fully, that was the thing that I found kind of upsetting a bit from an artist point of view.
Yeah, I agree. We do have another artist on stage, HNFT Pepe, who's created some awesome stuff. Would you like to give us an explanation of your project?
Yeah, what's up, guys? So I kind of the first time I've jumped onto Spaces, but spending so much time in the stamps community, I was like, oh, I better say something. But anyway, I've been in crypto probably 6 or 7 years and creating digital art for a couple of years now. Was pretty happy just being anon, but the stamps community kind of got a hold of me, and I've been around pretty much all year. Adam actually invited me, who I knew from the historic community, and Jake as well. And I've been stamping since week 1, I think, something like that. I think my first stamp was in 400s or 500s or something like that. But then, I had created like some pixel stuff, and then what I like to call low effort meme pixel stuff, which is kind of fun just to mess around with that stuff. But there was already some great pixel artists, and Stamp continues to have these great pixel artists creating like some of my favorites, which are Viva, Cowabunga, Alt, Pifu, Pixel Lab, Lou Umbrice. I have all her collections as well. So I wanted to try something different. Not that, I might not, maybe I'll continue to explore the pixel stuff, but I wanted to try something new with the SVGs. And vector art being pretty rare on stamps as it is, because it's really hard to get quality out of it because you're working within the constraints of 7 KB. I wanted to mess around with that. It probably took 5 to 6 weeks to kind of get a hold of it and playing with multiple apps. And now I've got about 14 which are stamped, and you can see in the collection. That 15th SVG I'm not going to be stamping anytime soon because they're so damn expensive. I think I paid during peak. I was paying $400 to $500 to stamp some of those SVGs.
Well, I mean, you were one of the first to really do these like super slick, really, really just sharp looking SVGs. And I loved your early, you jumping in early and doing the high quality stuff at the beginning. I think was pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks, man. I took a while to learn it, but I was like, I'll try something different. Why not? And kind of came up with that. And being in stamps, it's from the beginning. All I've known, I think Arwin said it a few times for the last Spaces. It's like it's been art and memes on Bitcoin, living forever, or as long as Bitcoin's going to be around, immutably and unprunably, or whatever. Like that's what appealed to me initially, and that's all I've known basically all year, is that stamps are art and memes, and I've been okay with that 100%. I know, on the last Spaces, everyone's asking about, when's the tech coming? When's this new thing coming? And, I'm sorry, we don't have, DeFi or smart contracts or world changing tech. But, as an artist, I've been completely okay with this just being like a little digital art gallery community. and it's been a lot of fun. I've connected with a lot of the leaders, creators, builders, and the founders and everything. It's been an awesome experience. I like to think about it as like, well, if I opened up a physical art gallery, because we do this a lot in the STEM social, especially the Telegram. We talk art, we talk stamp art, we shill it. That's kind of what we do. But if I had a physical art gallery, guess what? I am going to market or shill the hell out of that too. I'm gonna put it on Facebook. I'm gonna have flyers. I'm gonna have a website. When people come in, I'm gonna talk about the art. I'm gonna sell the art. I'm gonna shill the art. And that's what I've really enjoyed about stamps. Just being an artist myself, it's fun to kind of shoot the shit about the art and shill your art. And it became a smaller community during the deep, nasty bear market, but things are picking up again. We're getting a lot more members joining, and yeah, we want them to see the art that we have on stamps. And that's not to take away from everything that's going on out there with the builders that we have. They're doing amazing things, and I know that some of those projects are going to be coming out here very soon, whether everyone believes it or not. Asking about where's the tech. I mean, the ninjas are doing great things. We got the Rare Stamp team, Open Stamp, Stampverse. We have the arts page. We have Book of Stamps for the directory, and now, hey, we got some spaces. We're on number 2. So it's really cool to kind of have some spaces going again now that this hype is really coming back to us. But yeah, I've enjoyed the community. I've enjoyed creating art on stamps, and I hope that the community continues to grow along with the tech. And like I said, if it ends up being nothing more than just art caves and a bunch of artists shilling their shit, then that's fine too.
Yeah, that's exactly how the Counterparty Pepe community is. Always make fun of it. It's like you're an artist, but you're also a street dealer. It's always how the Counterparty communities work. I always found it really fascinating.
I always think when Mike was saying earlier, like, oh, well, fees and this, I don't know, we were talking about fees or whatever. And I'm like, guys, let's be real. If fees went up like 100x, like, so you could never make stamps again, bro, get our private islands ready, baby, because, call your Swiss banker, baby, because that would be awesome if people couldn't make stamps anymore. That would be amazing. Our bags would be fully packed and ready to go.
Some history
Green
making.
Green punks, right?
That's right.
What's up, Jamex? Good to see you.
Hey, GM, everyone. So cool to have the spaces on Stamps. It was Stamps was an amazing adventure so far. But Jake, that did happen. Like making stamps becomes super expensive. Like, well, it's interesting to know that HN FTF spent so much money on the vector stamps, because I did a whole series of vector stamp, and when I tried to mint it, it was too late. It was super expensive, or you need to crank them to be so small that they are tougher. So it wasn't worthy. So we're getting there about Bitcoin with ordinals and stamps, that maybe what we did is what we did. I started doing stamps so early too, and I went crazy. Like I stamped it like 50 stamps at very reasonable price, and it was super cool. Well, I'm more of an animator. I like to do big animations, detail stuff, and stamps is super cool to go back to pixels, right? Like it has to be super small.
Yeah, simplicity is a lot better in time. It is quite expensive. We're gonna need a Stamps L2 at this point in time.
But no, we need Derp to fix this thing, man. Derp, get going, brother.
We do have hold on, Derp, go ahead.
Nothing. I was just gonna say something sarcastic.
Please say it. Good. All right, we do have one other person on stage I haven't called on yet. Motion Mort. How's it going?
Can't hear you, brother.
I'm not hearing anything. All right, Motion Mort. Might need to leave and come back or fix the mic. It does sound like the mic is coming on, but there is no audio coming through. Did I see Arwen just joined the stage?
Yep.
Or do you, Arwen, what is good, dude? The original, the stamp provocateur of all. What's good, bro?
Is he rugged too?
Maybe I'm rugged.
No, are you rugged? Uh-oh.
No, no,
You guys
no.
hear us?
You can't hear him.
Okay, cool. I was like, what is going on right now?
But it would be amazing if Darwin speak, because yeah, he was like instigator for many people to do stamps, I think.
For sure.
Yeah, I think Arwen stamped what, number 2 or number 3, something like that, right there in the beginning.
Yeah, I was doing ordinals, very happy in my ordinal craze when ordinals started, and Arwin was like, no, 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 man, you have to no more ordinals. They don't work. Do stamps.
All right, Motion Mort, let's try this again. If you're, oh boy, Twitter just hating on stamps right now. That's okay.
GM.
What's good? What's good? Is that Arwen?
That's me. I'm in the place. How's it going?
What's good, bro, dude? I don't think it would be a stamp space unless you were here, showing some stamps and tell us some awesome stuff, dude. Tell us, give us some things to look forward to, or at least from your perspective.
Oh man, well, we got a lot. We got a lot actually coming on at the moment. It's like a TV show now. It is a TV show in a way. We got a lot coming up this week, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if it's like this week, but yeah, we've got a lot of developments going on the back end, the royal way, that is. So it's going to mean more file size, cheaper, cooler, and better, basically. I don't really want to go on record saying all about it, but there is I look forward to doing another Spaces. I was thinking about that. I look forward to the next Spaces and seeing how far we've come, you know. But it's funny to hear people say we're so early, like so 6, 7, 8 months. I don't remember, not many months really. And it's huge. There's like even like hundreds more people listening to this right now. So I won't waste too many words. I just wanted to say more that this is a really cool space because we get to listen to everybody else, you know, who hasn't really had a voice. As has been mentioned, HTNFT, and well, we like to hear from JamX always, you know, but like it's also great to have an idea of what everybody else thinks of the spaces and stuff. I'm just here to beat the stamps drum of like make more stamps, you know. I'm going to try to refrain from shilling, but I have to shill my Flocks crew right now because we're not shilling on our product really, although of course get your Flocks here. But like, I mean, it is a community thing, isn't it? So I love to see all the memes coming in, you know. It's like we do the memes, and even when it's like things get expensive, it's like we don't need an L2. Telegram's our L2. We just make memes, put them on Telegram, and when things calm down, we can make it. I tried to mint an XCP asset yesterday, like, and I was like, whatever, not go down the street, but through my.
How funny is that? Telegram is my L2.
It is. Telegram is the L2, man. It's the ultimate L2.
Derp,
I'm just saying, man, that thing that Derp was talking about, that's just eating inside of me, man. It's like you want stamps to be like the home of memes, right? Where you can make a meme and then people can riff off your same meme using this sort of recursion technology. Could be really, really interesting on stamps. Mike, what are you thinking about it, man? You ready to do this? Can you make this happen, Mike?
Yeah, you know, I tell the devs to do things, and sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't. So it's really at their pace, and you know, it is all sort of voluntary. So it's not like I have any ability to crack the whip or anything. You know, things get done when they get done.
Well, I can say definitively that we've already implemented the code to make recursive stamps work at Stampverse. We just actually have to mint one. So I don't want to spend that money right now. So I'm going to wait a couple days. We'll see what happens. And even the AI ones, I have one in the queue right now. It's like $50 and it's waiting there at 52 sats per V-byte. So it's, I mean, even when you're only talking about like 150 bytes of text, it's still expensive.
I guess it's like part of this complex game, right? Like now in ordinals and stamps, like we're waiting. It happened a couple of months ago when they invented ordinals and stamps. Fees went super high until the point that, okay, everybody stops, then go back down, and the craze goes up again. So now we're waiting, right? Like, if you
Well,
want
guys,
to,
it ain't going to get any cheaper in the bull run. You know, it's not going to get any cheaper, right? It's only going to
I
get
know,
more
I know.
expensive.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
It might get cheaper in a week, though.
Yeah,
That's true.
You got
True,
you got 2 holiday weekends, right? In America, you got Thanksgiving this weekend, so no degens, and then obviously the end of the year, gas tends to cheapen pretty drastically. Who's that we have on stage? Paifu? Did I get that right?
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course, man. What type of projects you working on? Is that stamp pays? Is that what I see in your
Yes,
in your
yes,
bio?
yes, yes. Yes, I'm drawing stamp paper since stamp 55. So it's one of the first paper collection actually. They represent 80% of a sub 100 stamp. So yeah.
Polluting the blockchain with its stamp pepes, man. Very
Yeah.
early and very awesome.
Yeah,
Love it.
very early and still building, so my goal is to onboard the maximum of people with stamp paper. So I tried many approaches. I give away some stamp, for example, stamp 79. I give away, and now the volume is more than 1 BTC. It was for free. Now people they exchanging them. I also created the first collaborative project in Stamp with many artists. I think there was around 40 different artists which participate into this collection. It's called Let's Stamp Pepe. Anyway, I can only do Stamp Pepe, so you can recognize them easily on Stamp.
They definitely are. They definitely are one of the more recognizable, I guess, original art type projects. But right now, you are actually in progress of a free 10K mint for Stamp Pepes using SRC20. I've actually minted one already, although for free. I think right now, current gas environment's like $30 to do. Tell us the idea of creating this 10K. It'd probably be the first 10K, right?
Hey, it was kind. It was very. It's not easy to launch a 10K collection without any marketing team. But I, with the launch of SRC721 by a dub, I said, okay, let's try. So I stamped all the threads in Stamp, and then so I could with this more. I stamped 60 threads, and for me, so I was able to do a 10K collection. So I said, let's go. So now I give them away for free now. It's a free mint. So I hope that I can touch the maximum of people. So I try to touch the Bitcoin Frogs holder, Pixel PP holders from originals. So it's free. You just go and take them, and as they are using SRC721 protocol, it's only less than $40 right now, even with the fees. So just go and grab them.
It feels like, you know, it's just going to have to be, it's either going to be in a low gas environment or low fee environment and people are going to go grab them, or, you know, a little bit of hype comes in and then they're gone in an hour. You know what I mean? It's like that feels like that's just the way it has to be. I don't know. I have no doubt if they're left there for free, that it will mint out. It's just a question of when, right? I mean, that just seems to be the way it goes.
I mean, as we've seen too, through all these different ordinal and Bitcoin protocols, it seems like the longer something takes to mint, the more adoption that it gets, right? Because the hype is gone. You just got people who are coming in for free, and then the price increases. But it seems like at this point in time, right, every protocol, whether you're on Bitcoin or not, needs to have some sort of PFP identity community protocol or project. This could be one of those. It seems like there's a lot of projects that are going to attempt to go for that.
One question on that type of mint, and maybe Pifu or Derp, jump in. Are they randomized in the mint process, or are they basically kind of numbered in, and then you're just, as you mint, you're getting the one that's already there? How does that work, that structure?
It's totally randomized, actually. It's SRC721, and it's generated automatically when a user mint. I'm not the tech guy, actually. It's the Stamp Ninja who did do the launchpad. I think he's there, actually, the team, the Stamp Ninja team. Maybe he can explain it.
Yeah, we got Stamp Ninja coming up right now.
Yeah.
So maybe can explain it. Stamped Ninja, GM to you. First amazing project or incredible explorer. Definitely one of the better ones that I've seen in the counterpart community. So really congrats on putting that out there. It really looks great. Are you there?
Yeah. If for the generation of Pifu collection, I have taken in account his odds for each trait, and just generating the image on the fly at the moment when you click on mint. This is a live generated collection. It's like for every other launchpad on Stamp Ninja.
Yeah, so generative, Adam. Matt,
Gotcha.
I know you're going to want to mint the Grail, so go a little bit.
I'm like, well, if I do 10, that's $400. Or if I wait till next week and then it's $400 and I get 20, and it's like, me, I'll wait and then they're all gone. That's my usual strategy.
You can't see the feature, and at the moment it's already selling at something like $40 at least. So if you mint it yourself, it's kind of at least not a loss. You won't lose any money because you can still sell them. So it's kind of okay. If next week the mempool goes to 200, you're screwed.
Yep. Yeah. Or as Adam says, we wait, and then maybe I'll get 30 or 40 of them.
Yeah, in the end, if it's a collection, like making a collection is more sturdy than random art, right? So time is not a factor. You can have the collection and wait.
Yeah.
Some whale's probably just going to go in there and just claim like 2,000 of them, right? Just like, if I only had money, bro. This is when the rich get richer, right? Where they just don't care. I'll just go claim 4,000 of them. And, it's never enough money, man. Never enough. Never enough Bitcoin.
Isn't that never enough? All right, guys, we've gone at this hour and a half. It's been incredible Bitcoin spaces or Bitcoin stamp spaces. We had over 100 people in here at one point in time. If there's anything that is not a question, is that there is a lot of interest in the stamps community. We're starting to see early signs of I don't know, you'll call it Bitcoin stamps season 2, as Leonidas calls Bitcoin ordinals. It seems like there's going to be, another proliferation of interest, especially on Bitcoin now, where it seems like most are now comfortable exploring outside of ordinals. Maybe because Casey's starting to do runes. Everyone's like, hey, what else is really out there? And there's going to be a community for everybody on Bitcoin. So I really appreciate all the speakers who came on stage, everyone who's building in the Bitcoin stamps community, whether you're an artist, you're a developer, you're a media personality, and contributions to the community, especially this early, can have large ramifications for the ecosystem and also just your personal brand. So really go out there, and if you like stamps, contribute in some capacity, whether it's content, artist, capital provider, whatever the case is. Viva, any suggestions or any recommendations for those listening?
Hey, yeah, sorry. I would just have my hand up because my son wanted to say hello to everyone, who I think might be on record as the youngest stamper. I've dropped his stamp in the comments. Yeah, he's 10 years old, and he created his first Pepe's in Paris, and he's now turned it into a stamp. So you can check it out in the comments. Do you want to say
Dude,
hi?
that's dank, man, right there. That is a dank stamp right there.
Hey, thanks.
Nice job.
Yeah. Yeah. So collection coming soon when the fees go down.
That's my bro. Keep your eye on that artist. That's next up. You think Beaver's good? You want to see what's coming next? Watch out.
Hey.
And Arwen's one of his favourite people now as well. He's
That's
got a
a
lot of
great
love with Arwen.
Keeping up the relationship. I'm his manager.
Hey, Ethereum and the bull run went through their wave of young, youthful artists making it back. So maybe this is Bitcoin's turn.
That's right.
This run up. So appreciate everyone for coming on stage. No matter who you are a great benefit to the community. If you guys don't know, we host this show Tuesday through Thursday. This Thursday, we do not have a show to celebrate Thanksgiving down in America. We host a show at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. Tomorrow, we are diving into Pepe numerology and conspiracy.
Oh, it's going to be a big one, bro.
You don't remember we had this, I forget what his name is. He came on the Pepe show 2-3 weeks ago and went deep down this conspiracy.
Bro, it's great. You guys have to tune in tomorrow. I don't say this shit ever, but you got to tune in tomorrow because these numbers are going to blow your freaking minds, dude. This is crazy.
It was G Money, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Bro, it's like crazy, dude. It's crazy. You have to tune in tomorrow. Period.
Yeah.
Full stop.
It's like astrology for Pepe fans, dude.
Crazy.
That's what we're getting into tomorrow. Make sure you follow everyone on stage. Follow me, Adam, Chris, Emblem Vault. We're taking things cross-chain, helping all the communities. Mike, the creator of Bitcoin Stamps, all the lovely artists, Viva, Derp, the creator. You got Stamp Ninja, HNFT, Paifu, everybody here. Motion, who's on stage. Stamps are here to stay. We'll be doing this show again probably in a month or two, and hopefully by then, Derp's got some crazy AI stuff that we can dive into and blow Adam's mind.
Let's go.
Let's go. Until then, guys, see you tomorrow morning.